Hello. That's perfect. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Sourabh Bodas, and I'm presenting here on behalf of my team, Nexustec. We're just over there across the aisle at booth 210. And I will be talking about our software suite called TRiMiTi. And in this presentation, I will go a little bit more in the background, in the detail of what TRiMiTi is. So just first to start, what TRiMiTi means. It's a Sanskrit word. Sanskrit is an ancient Indian language, and it means 3D or three-dimensional. So the benefit of our system is that it allows the worker to work in complete three dimension with free movement, and there are no restrictions. So the way we define our system, that it's a novel AI-powered system for integration of workers in Industry 4.0 applications by providing worker assistance, worker guidance, and inline quality control. So it's a bold claim that we can do all of that, but I will walk through the next 15 minutes, and possibly you will also appreciate the efforts we have put in over the last several years to make this thing a reality. So looking at Industry 4.0 as it is today, we can see there are quite a bit of sensors and automation which already exists. There are digital process controllers which exist in the Industry 4.0 quite commonly. Then we also have automated production and robots. So is that all? Is that Industry 4.0? Of course not. I mean, what about the manual work processes? They're still missing. And every product that you touch, anything that's manufactured, whether it's fully automated or not, even the parts of it are done with some manual processes. And these manual processes are not integrated in Industry 4.0. So in manual process, when we are talking about manufacturing as such, we will look at an example video, and well, a small disclaimer, because of confidentiality surrounding the manufacturing processes, we will use a children's toy for a demonstration here. So you can see my colleague, well, she's trying to assemble a children's toy in about 7 or 8 steps. And the idea here is to show that there are no markers. She's working free in her environment. She's working on a tabletop like a normal manual assembly work would go in industry. And at this point, you can see that she is going through the steps quite quickly, quite normally for humans, but quite quickly for machines to understand. And this is the example. So how do we deal with these kinds of processes? Now go from here to a little bit more structured process of packaging. So you see a box, and you will see something which is put inside the box, and they have to be packaged in a perfect sequence or in a perfect order in order to make sure that nothing is forgotten. And this is usually the last station in assembly processes. So if something is forgotten here, if this station is not checked correctly, then the product is going to go out to your customer with something missing, and it's definitely going to trigger a recall, which means we are looking at not just a very important process at the end for the presentation, but also a critical process if you want to look at costs and related aspects of it. So what do we mean by our system TRiMiTi? So what is a part of a TRiMiTi system? So as you can see here, our system is primarily camera based. That's why we are standing here. I'm CTO of this company. We are vision experts, which means we work a lot with vision data. So in this setup example, we have a camera which is on top, but that's not the only restriction. You can have camera anywhere. It can be stationary, it can be mobile. Our system still works the same way. You will have some kind of user interface or a touch screen or any kind of mixed reality, augmented reality, like a laser projector as we have on our booth over there. We will have, of course, the worker, the most important part of the puzzle, but then we will have something like connected tools. So there are a lot of smart tools in the industry which can talk about or which can give a feedback about the torque value or the angle that has taken place for the screw fastening, but they don't know where exactly the tool is. So if you have 4 screws which are identical in torque value and the angle parameters, you don't know where the worker has started and which direction the worker has progressed. So that's something we have also integrated in our system. And of course, at the end is the industrial computer. Now, let's take a step back. So before we go forward and I explain how we work with those videos, TRiMiTi with the worker at its center is how we look at Industry 4.0 in coming days. The most important part, as I mentioned earlier, is the tool tracking. So we can look at the tool, can be screw fastening tool, can be deburring tool, can be welding tool, any tool that is used by humans, we can track it. Then going one step forward, we are also looking at digital process control, which means looking at manual processes and controlling them in a similar manner as automated processes are controlled. Then we are looking at smart workflow management, which means if you have different variants in your manufacturing, our system will take care of variants. So you don't need to manually switch between different variants. The system will automatically recognize what the worker is doing, or it will communicate with the MES system, with ERP systems to know what exactly is supposed to happen, and it will automatically switch to that workflow. It's supposed to happen, and it will automatically switch to that workflow. Then we have a smart supply chain. By that, what we mean is we can keep track of consumables at a workstation. We can keep track of what's coming in, what's going out, which means we can also notify not just the ERP software, but also logistics guys that what is missing. So, for example, a screw fastening station is low on screws. Our system can, in the back end, quickly notify logistics guys that, hey, this station is running low on screws. Please move some screws over to that station. So, a simple message like that, which right now has to go through complex processes, can be very easily simplified. Then we have interconnected workspaces. TRiMiTi is not a standalone system. The way we have built this system is that you can network them together. So if you have a manual process which involves multiple workstations, you can have TRiMiTi on all of them, and then these TRiMiTis will talk to each other. They will share data amongst each other, they will share process information amongst each other, and they will also share the quality data. And then the last thing is the data first approach. So I will explain this in coming slide. The major benefits of focusing on these 2 aspects, apologies. So major benefit of focusing on these aspects altogether is that what we have first time right manufacturing. Now, there are a lot of benefits of doing first time right. There are no reworks, so reduced cost. There are no scraps. So of course you're getting green credentials by being environmentally friendly, by reducing the scraps. You're effectively saving on resources, you're saving on efforts, all those things. But this is just one aspect. It gives you multidimensional benefits because, and now let's look at what is data first approach. What our system is capable of understanding is not a single standalone step in the process. It's capable of visualizing, or it's capable of understanding the entire process chain. So let's take an example. We have 4 workstations, and in a traditional MES setup, you will have a check-in time at each workstation and you will have a checkout time, right? Which means the data for the process planner, it looks something like this. In this case, you have 8 timestamps, and that's pretty much it. You don't know what happens on each individual station, and this active, inactive times on each individual station. If you want to know them, you have to have a guy stand there with a stopwatch and a notepad to actually make a note of it, which means you'll probably have a 50 or 100 cycle data at most by the time your process is finalized. So what can we do? We can do a lot more with our system. So just to give you an example, let's say one of these is equipped with our TRiMiTi system. We can break down not just at one workstation, of course, at all workstations, but let's say we have third workstation, which has 5 steps. We can look at each step individually. We can give you the time at which the step starts, at which it stops or it's finished, and the inactive time between the steps. And then you can go back and look at why there is an inactive time. Is it because, for example, we see here a big gap between step 3 and step 4? Is it because the part which is required for step 4 is kept farther away, so worker has to reach out and then grab the part? Then you can effectively reorganize the layout of the station and reduce on this inactive time at each particular station. Now, the possibilities that this data offers are tremendous and endless. It's quite uh, genuinely left to the each individual process planner what to do with this data. But idea is providing detailed overview on each of these stations will give you what we call first time right, but also inline quality control. And now, yeah, well, lots of the data. Optimize the timing. You will have access to the presentations later on with the VDMA. So this slide is more to elaborate what I just mentioned in the previous slide. Now, what does TRiMiTi do? So we answer every question. So what is being done, right? It helps you pinpoint exact events, timestamps for these events, where it is being done. So advanced AI capabilities that our software offers in the workstation, in the working environment, it will tell you what's going on, which position is being worked on currently. It tells you how it is being done, right? So the important part is to know if the processes are being followed correctly, and if there is any mistake in the processes, then you can intervene in right time. Who? Oh, wait, sorry, that's bad. We don't tell who is doing it because of GDPR and this FAO, but of course, the benefit is not to pinpoint the worker or to blame the worker, it's to help the worker. It's worker assistance, worker guidance system, which means we help the worker to not make any mistakes rather than pinpoint the blame on the person who made mistakes. So the whole concept is having the sensitive data at a customer side. So we are talking about confidential processes. So the process data is very important. So we are not offering you a cloud solution where you put your data in a black box, you don't know where it is. The data resides on your premise. The data is on this industrial computer, which is on the customer side. And if you have a local cloud, of course, we can back it up onto the local cloud, but we don't ask you to back it up on Nexustec clouds or AWS or Google or anything else. So the data remains with you. The process overall, which is ensuring that there is a personal data protection. So we don't store any video data, we don't store any images of the people in the environment. So of course, you can focus on just the production flows. You can focus on the processes, but we keep the employees out of scope in this particular case. Now we go back to the example which I showed in the beginning. And so that's the basic user interface you will get, a standard user interface you will get with TRiMiTi. And as you can see here, as she's doing the assembly, our system is identifying what's going on, and it's actually marking each step as she's doing, but also it's giving my colleague a prompt, what should happen next, what's coming next. And as you can see here, we are doing not just assembly, but we are also doing inline quality check, as in we are checking that the wheels are assembled in correct order, they are placed correctly, the steps are being followed, and if you miss one of the steps, the system will remind you that, hey, you have missed this step, so please go back and make the changes that you want to do. And at the end, you can see the full truck has been assembled. Now, going back to the example of the packaging, something similar happens here. Our system will give the worker a nice interface here. And this demo, by the way, you can just see across the aisle in our booth. This demo is live for you to see. And we will make sure that all the parts are being placed in the correct order, in the correct position. And if there is a mistake, if worker places, for example, instead of a silver hinge, a golden one, we will show a nice pop-up saying that please go back and make the change. So in short, what our system does, it offers the traditionally known features like barcode reader or variant detection, color detection, and the whole bunch of it. In the backend, it's all AI. For the user to understand, we split all of this into the understandable features, because The Industry 4.0 of 2010s still talks about, oh, we can give you the color matching and we can give you the texture detection. And we can talk about something like position checks. So of course, TRiMiTi is capable of doing all of that and much more. So at the end, what we have done is it's easier to understand if we split it into products. So we have split our system into two categories of products: inline quality control and end of line quality control. And you can see here we have 5 products. One is the assembly assistant, screw fastening assistant, optical inspection, package content control, and package tracking. And you can see the demos of all 5 on our booth. At the end, we want to make sure that the worker, who is the essence of modern industry, still 300 years on since Industry 1.0, worker is the most important part. And that worker is not left behind in all automation and sensors and Industry 4.0 data first approach. So to make sure all of this can be done by the customer themselves. So you don't need to come to Nexustec if you have some changes in your system. We have started working on no-code system configurations, which means you need to install a new camera. So you need to know how to do the camera configuration. Or you want to install a new tool, you need to know how to do that. Or you want to have a new screw fastening sequence, then you need to know how to do that, right? Then it's object and state detection. So when the assembly process, you need to detect different objects or different states of assembly. Then you have to configure the sequences. You have to edit the work order, and if there are any new variants, you have to train that. The first 3 parts are already done, implemented, and they're ready for you to see. And we offer it as a product, learning by doing. So you show our system one screw fastening sequence, the system will understand it, and it can go back and repeat the sequence 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, as many times as you want, without mistakes. The next 3 parts, they are coming pretty soon. I would say about a month or 2 from now. And that will be offered by Nexustec as a product called Quick ML, or Quick Machine Learning solution, which goes together with our TRiMiTi solution. So at the end, let me just quickly summarize. What we have is first time right production, less claims. What we have is a process control, and we assure that the manual worker is not left behind. We make sure that automated data generation is there for ERP and MES on the same level as an automated manufacturing station. Then you have a very strong tool for Industry 4.0. And at the end, you have a return on investment on the capital investment in less than 12 months for every single application. No matter how complex your application is, we can guarantee you will recover your costs in under a year. So on behalf of my entire team, I would like to thank you all.
It's really good solution for.
If you have any questions, I'm available here, and also our booth across the aisle. So feel free. Yeah, just over there. Then we will see you at the booth.
Yeah, with limitations.
Doesn't matter. We can use multiple cameras together. So some of our systems are installed in the manufacturer. No problem. We also